Hey everyone, welcome to Discover the Beast. Today it is my privilege to have a very good buddy of mine. Now this guy is all the way in another country, but he's okay. So, Kamal, welcome to Discover the Beast.
Thanks, man. I was like, Chuck, thanks for having me with you, man. This is wonderful. It's been a while since we've had a chat, and I'm enjoying this, man. Thanks for having me.
Hey man, listen, it's my pleasure. When I decided to do this, you were one of those people that I definitely wanted to get on here. So before we go any further, as everybody knows, Discover the Beast coaching, we're sort of broad based, man. We're going to look at things from a number of different perspectives. So I'm going to ask Kamal to go ahead and fully introduce himself, tell us about what that background and what his business is all about, who he caters to, and what he enjoys about coaching. So Kamal, how long have you been in coaching?
Coaching individuals per se is about 2 years, but I have had the fortune of coaching people throughout my life, even from my first ever job in my 20s. So
Okay.
that's about 17, 18 years, I think.
Okay. Now, did you fall into coaching, or is that something that you found that it was in your spirit to be?
It's I don't believe that people fall into things. They're either pathways open up for you, or you are talented, or you are gifted, or you have the passion or the skills for it. Now, I'll explain why I said these three things right now. Now, it started off with martial arts, with karate especially,
Mm.
that I was my sensei, my trainer had pushed me into training the young ones, the starters, the white belts and yellow belts. And I continued doing that while I was practicing. Now, after that, that was in my teens, right? And then after that, in my 20s, when I started my first job as a customer service representative for Microsoft Activation, back then when we could do activation, right? You had to call and say, can you activate my Windows or Office?
Remember those days, yeah.
Oh, man. So I was working in a call center in Egypt, and we had a lot of the European accounts that had to do activation, right? And within 6 months, I was taken out and I became the official trainer for what back then we would call soft skills, which are still called soft skills. What we call as coaches is just communication skills, right?
Hmm. Yeah.
and and uh, so I was the trainer for communication skills, as well as the programs that the CSRs were using to activate products for companies, whether it was business or individual. And during those 2.5 years, I have officially trained, coached about a little bit over 250 employees. So that was my first experience with training back then and coaching. And as soon as I put my foot there, I knew that this is what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. I knew that that's what I was good at. I knew that I was, in a sense, I had the talent for it. And because I could stand and speak forever, right? And I had the material and I would change the material again. I would have fun with the employees and I would train them and we'd have the assessments. And so it was fun for me. It still is fun to stand up. I mean, you've heard me speak. I do talks twice per week, right? For hours, and I love it. And that's when everything clicked for me. So martial arts karate, I wanted to be a master and open my own school just from the age of 13, 14. And then I was pushed by my trainer, and then that first job. And then for some reason, whenever I had a job, I was trying so hard to get into that. I want to train, whether it was with Emirates, whether afterwards I went back to Egypt. I was a project manager, but I was still training people to their new positions, being a team leader and all of that. And when I came to Norway and I became a team leader as well, I trained people. I was coaching them into how to do things, how to think differently, lots of stuff like that. So yeah, that's basically how coaching became part of me, right? Or I became part of coaching, I guess.
So now, and you mentioned a couple of things that I want to bring the audience in on. Uh, Kamal is in Norway, and he
Mhm.
grew up in Egypt, and he is an international gentleman. Uh, and Kamal and I have known each other through a training course we took together at INLP or NLP coaching, and we've had the opportunity to speak. We've coached each other and we've spoken countless times. So this is a little funny. I'm trying not to just jump into areas so that's why we're both laughing a little bit for those that don't know. Okay. So Kamal, going back a little bit, um, at this point in your life, what do you find is the most rewarding part of coaching for you?
It's going to sound a little bit weird, but the reward is more what the people or what the clients can take with them that they can teach their family and loved ones. I don't have to necessarily hear it from them. I don't have to necessarily have a message from them or get a testimonial or whatever it is. To me, knowing that there has been a transformation, that they have a click, that they are going to perpetuate this in their life and in their surroundings is enough for me. A lot of people think that coaching, yes, the coaching is the money. So you have, like, the Tony Robbins's, the I can't think of any other names for the reason right now. But I rather people take something with them, learning material that they can use for the rest of their lives, than and having a friend, right? Then, okay, this is it. We've done our business. Thank you very much. See you later.
Right, right.
That's not the premise I work with. I want to create these bonds that we as human beings, we were just talking about, that have forgotten about.
Hmm. Yeah,
So that is my rule.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. What would you find now? Are you focusing in any specific area right now in your coaching?
I am, and that's why I have this label here. So this is the goddess Maat from ancient Egypt, and she is the goddess of harmony, balance, order, justice, and law.
Okay.
Now, these five represent everything about life. She was the goddess with her, she has a feather on her head. I'm not sure if it's visible on this one here, but that feather in ancient times, in ancient Egypt, is the feather that the heart of a person was weighed against to know if your heart was lighter to go to the afterworld or was going to be eaten by Anubis, the god of the afterlife, the dead, basically. So everything revolves around that. And for your heart to be lighter than the feather of Ma'at, you had to have these, what they call the 42 negative confessions of Anu. Now, these 42 confessions, you can read them all over, right? But some of them are basic rules of humanity. One of them, for instance, is I I have fed a stray animal and given them water, or I have not denied, because it's a negative confession, sorry, I have not denied an animal water or food. I have not um, testified um, incorrectly. So you see, they're all in the negative sense, but they are the basic rules of humanity. And considering that a lot of people have forgotten that, what I coach, my niche, is a foundation of harmony and balance and purpose, because people, that's the premise, basically, is that approximately between 89 to 94% of the population live their life as it is. They don't delve deeper into the growth. They don't do anything about why they are here or their existence. They just deal with life as it is. So I want to help those people find that harmony and balance and purpose in life instead of just going around from 9 to 5 until you retire and then buy yourself a caravan and go and have fun. You can have fun before.
Yes. Yes.
So this is my niche. My niche is purpose.
Okay. Now, since we have the NLP in common,
Yeah.
how do you use NLP to help your clients?
Right. So I love NLP, man. You know how much
Yeah,
fun
I
we've
know.
had with
I know.
NLP.
I know. Yeah.
So at each stage of coaching, there are roadblocks, especially when you do a program that is about 12 to 14 weeks, right? So that's my program. And each step, there has to be some sort of trigger for you to grow. There has to be some sort of key for you to have that, ah, why haven't I done this? Why am I not thinking like that? You know, that aha moment that all coaches or most coaches speak about. And that's why I use NLP in all of that, or all of the sessions. There's a constant use of it, even though I don't technically say I use it, because it's not one specific technique that I
Hmm.
use. You know me from the start. I've always combined techniques. I've never enjoyed taking just one technique and using it as it is. So I use NLP, for instance, with in the very start when I use outcome specifications to really specify what are the outcomes that my client wants in each area of their life. I use core values and a very in-depth core values analysis, right? That I do a whole session of 1.5 hours of core values,
Mm.
right? I use timeline elicitation, NLP, right? So going back to
Hmm.
the past and seeing all the events of your life and the new events of your life and preparing them so that you have a visualization of your future, how you want it to be. I've used so I don't know, I've used so many techniques in NLP, but it's incorporated in the
Right.
coaching style. Yeah.
Right. Right.
I
Right.
hope I
Yeah.
answered your question. I know I ramble a lot. That's the problem.
No, no, no. You know what? And again, I like letting you ramble because
Right.
your content is always thought provoking. You know what
Thank
I
you.
mean? So that's fine. And I don't think I would even use the word rambling. I would probably say more expressive.
Okay, well, that's
Yeah,
very
yeah,
kind
yeah. You're very
of
expressive.
you.
All right. So um, one thing that's always stood out for me in coaching and the dynamic of coaching is helping a person challenge themselves.
Right.
That and dealing with the inner conflicts.
Hmm.
You know, we've talked a number of times, as I've said, and your life experience is one of the most diverse that I know.
Hmm.
That I've had the opportunity to speak with someone on an individual basis. You know, um, I've learned quite a bit in talking to you from a cultural standpoint that is not one that I'm familiar with.
Hmm.
Okay, so um, what would a person that may be watching today, and I don't know the complete audience, you know, so
Yeah.
I'm hoping that the audience that is viewing this would be very diverse.
Right.
Okay, and as you and I have talked about many times, we're definitely more similar than different,
Yeah.
and that's human nature in general. We're very much similar. So, from your perspective, and as I mentioned, you live in Norway, you are Egyptian, and you've lived in a few different countries, I believe. Is that correct?
Yeah, yeah.
and your friendship network is very diverse as well.
Yes.
So here's my question. You know me, I had to
I'm
fill in
waiting.
all
I'm
these
waiting.
pieces, right? Yeah, I had to fill
I'm
in all these pieces, right? Um, what would you say is the most common thing that all the experiences you've had in dealing with people of different cultures,
waiting.
nationalities, and everything else is the most common thing you find that people may be surprised that it's really that common?
People
That
want
was a
change. People
yeah.
want
Is there?
change, but they don't want to do it.
I'm sorry. Say that again.
People want change, but they don't want to do it.
That's universal. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. That's the universal thing. All right. Cool. Cool.
Like it's
Wow.
it's it's very simple. People, speaking of clients, right? And yes, I've lived in many countries. I've lived in Dubai, Egypt, England, France, um, a little bit in Australia, but that was bonkers. I lived here in Norway for 9 years now. I'm multicultural. You said I'm Egyptian. Yes, I am part Egyptian, but I'm also part French, and I'm also part from different other worlds.
That's right.
I know it's not easy to keep up with my roots. but but here's the thing. You get a client or you get a person that says, I want to change, I want to make a difference in my life. Fair enough. Are you ready to do the work necessary for you to move up or to move along? Nah, it's too much work. Well, then you don't want any change in your life. You either are ready to move and you pull up your socks, you grab your bag, you do whatever expression you want to use, right? Get on the horse and whatever expression you want to use. You either do it or you don't. And that's the biggest challenge that, or not challenge, this is the biggest problem with a lot of people or clients that think they want change for somebody else as well, right? That's a commonality with a lot of people. People that start relationships, they say, oh, I'm going to change this in myself a little bit so that she or he likes me. I'm going to keep this. It doesn't last because you're not doing it for yourself. This is why many people, unfortunately, fail. And or fail is a wrong word because fail is first attempt in learning. So it's not really bad. But this is why a lot of people cannot change or cannot move forward once they go to these great seminars that cost them like $5,000 and $10,000, and they put mortgages on their houses twice, three times, and they keep going on and on and on and on, and they still don't change. Why? Because they think by going to that 3-day seminar, this will change their life. No, it will not. It will give you a boost, a motivation, because it's the herd mentality, because everybody's there, and yes, it's exciting, it's music, it's loud, it's everybody's jumping, and it's there in the heat of the moment, right? Just exactly like in football or in soccer or whatever game, right? You're right there at the end. You're using Discover the Beast. I know you use a lot of metaphors with American football. Just like that these last 2 or 3 yards before that touchdown, right? It's that excitement. Yeah, everybody's there. And that's where you are in that seminar for 3 days, 8 hours. It stays with you for maybe one more day.
Yeah.
But are you doing anything that specific day to move forward? Are you putting on your shoes to start walking, not running? Are you waking up in the morning at 5 o'clock in the morning, having your coffee, having your breakfast, doing a little bit of meditation, doing the work that you want to do for yourself to change? No, you're not. Why? Because you don't want to. You are not ready. You're still thinking with the herd mentality. And
It's
that
funny
is,
you say it like that. I call it a number of different things. I'm into my metaphors,
mm,
and oftentimes people are content being dressed up garbage cans.
yeah, I
You
like
know,
that.
we people generally seem to spend more money and more time on their outside appearance and the things that represent them. or maybe I'll phrase it different. How they want people to see them.
Yeah.
They spend a lot of time. We spend a lot of time and money on those things, and changing, growing within ourselves tends to be uncomfortable. Now I notice that oftentimes for a person to want to change, they have to be in a hole.
Yeah.
Something negative, something negative has happened and they want to come out of it. That was part of my story, and many of the other stories that I know. And when you're grasping,
Yeah.
So I find communication to be a key. How I communicate with myself and how I communicate with others. I find that to be one of the challenges that I notice a number of folk have. How we communicate with ourselves a lot of times is indicative of how we may communicate with others. And to question myself objectively, how we from a disassociated standpoint, if you will.
Third person, right?
Yeah, that third person. When I can question myself as that third person, I find the encouragement to change. We sort of lock ourselves into so many different boxes, and we were talking about this before. We put ourselves in so many boxes. At some point, it almost feels like we're going to be in a corner by ourselves or with our own little group. And it's interesting to me that the overall, no matter where you are on this planet, there's some truths, that we will follow. we will be sheep, and we want someone else to fix us.
Yeah.
And that we're not wrong.
Oh, that's a terrible one,
man. You know what I mean? And even the people, even folk that say, and I think I fall in this, that I think I'm a very open-minded person. Okay. Yet, my first thought is usually judgmental. And I have to pause before I open my mouth. You know what I mean? And take that 3 seconds and sort of ask myself, am I right? And because of the way I think, I always say, no, you're not.
Right, exactly.
Listen more.
You're not alone, man. I'm guilty of that as well. I'm guilty of it.
Yeah, and I think that, in coaching, one of the things that I notice is that people tend to want therapists, coaches, doctors, lawyers to fix.
Yeah.
And all fixes start within the person.
Yeah.
The individual, not the outside person that they're trying to get fixed to fix them. So it's funny that you say that, that the hardest thing is getting the person to want to change.
And that's what, I'm going to use a quote from our great master, Steve McVeigh, right? He tells us, never work harder than your client. If you find yourself working harder than your client, that means you're not doing a good job.
Yeah.
And that comes back to what you were saying. It's that, can you fix me? No, I can't. You have to fix yourself.
Can't fix you. And now, I take great, I was recently pondering, what exactly do I consider to be a reward for coaching? What would I look at and say, at the end of the day, if there was one thing that I did well to help a person in my role as a coach, what do I call success in coaching? And after all these thoughts, all this writing, you know what I came down to?
Hmm.
Asking the perfect question.
Well, is there a perfect question?
Exactly. No, but it's something to strive towards.
And
It's the question. It's the question. It's the aha question. It's the question that generates that is the change. It's the question that makes that person say, "Oh, yeah, okay. I
I
never
like
thought
that.
of it like that.
Yeah.
I never quite thought of it like that." And that, to me, I think after all the things I went through and wrote down and really pondered, it supersedes money. It supersedes fame. It supersedes a big client base. It supersedes likes, and all these kind of things. If I can come up with the perfect question for an individual that got them to think, hmm,
Mm.
and in like you were saying, that it doesn't require you to get rewards. It doesn't matter if they let you know. What matters is that it changed their life, and questions do that.
That's very true. I
Questions,
totally agree.
questions. Yeah. So we're saying the same thing, man, as usual. But again, you and I are both geniuses. The world just doesn't know it yet. Yeah,
Right.
we know we're pretty sharp. People just don't realize it, but they will. They will realize it one day. But listen, I know you got to roll, man, and this has been a pleasure.
It's been my honor, man. Thank you for having me. It's really
Hey,
cool
man,
to.
listen. Again, I know that when I talk to you, there's going to be something a little more deep. There's going to be a little deep,
Thanks.
and that's what I
And
wanted to want.
we
Now,
spoke
before
about
we
this, but
go ahead,
I'm
I'm
just
sorry.
going to remind you, we spoke about this. I told you you should do something like that. We should do something like
Long
that.
time ago,
Very
long
long time
time ago,
ago, right?
and I'm like,
And I'm glad you're here now, and because this is amazing. Like I speak with other people and all of that, but it's different when I speak with you because something else comes out of it,
yeah, all the
and
time.
I enjoy that.
All the time, as do I, my friend. Okay, so before we go, give everybody how they can reach out to you.
All right, so easy peasy. My website, Mart, MAAT, Coach, COACH, I'm spelling it right, .com. Instagram is Kamal.Amer, so Kamal, Kamal dot Amer, Amer. And yeah, that's it. Follow, reach out to me if you have any questions. I would gladly answer. And on my website, I offer a free hour and a half first call. It says an hour, but usually I do an hour and a half, up to 2 hours, even that first session. And it's not just questions, it's also I help with something minor so that you experience
Fantastic.
something. There it is.
Fantastic. Well, thank you, my friend. Okay, and
Thanks.
all of this will be posted, so you can definitely reach out to him in case you didn't have a pen and paper to write down that information. It will be posted on this broadcast. So again, this is Charles to Discover the Beast. As always, peace.